Hello, my name is Joseph Santamaria. I'm the Chief Information Officer at Public Service Enterprise Group. We're a utility and energy generation company based out of Newark in New Jersey. And I'm happy to be here today to provide some testimonial around the benefits of cyber education for different groups. The groups that come to mind when we talk about cyber education, there are 4 or 5, range from the general society and general public. I think there'd be a benefit for the general public being much more educated than we generally all are on the dynamics of phishing. Right? As you probably know, phishing is the number one means by which hackers tend to try to gain access to corporate environments or to perpetrate financial fraud. The reason is phishing is very simple to perpetrate and to attempt, and way too many times is successful. So I think there'd be a benefit both, as I said, from a society general perspective, from an individual perspective, also from a corporate perspective, if we could train and educate our employees and citizens around how to identify phishing, what are some of the dynamics and traits that a hacker will try to simulate and leverage when perpetrating a phishing attack, why you have to be careful on what you click on, what sites you visit, and so on and so forth. Many of the large corporate break-ins and hacking attacks that have been reported in the press over the last few years have all initiated through phishing. That's something that through the extent and the variety and the diversity of individuals who may face phishing in their professional individual lives, a good benefit and something to consider. The other group of constituents that comes to mind are obviously developers. IT developers tend to be very focused on functionality, performance, and other non-functional requirements, and I think there's still work to be done in terms of raising the awareness of following good coding practices from a security perspective and ensuring that systems, solutions, networks are all designed and built with security in mind, and what does it mean from a coding perspective, what do those security standards look like. And at times there could be a need to compromise or balance, find a midpoint between either functional performance and security, and that conversation needs to be had with developers, and the framework for those conversations needs to be put in place. Moving on, I guess another group that comes to mind would be supply chain professionals. We have procurement and sourcing specialists who ought to be very informed in terms of the risks of software, whether that's commercial software or embedded software in the equipment we buy that's bought, and should be very aware of what type of questions, what type of audits, what type of certificates to get, what type of governance needs to be put in place to ensure that critical systems and solutions and the vendors providing those systems and solutions have the right cybersecurity posture and focus and capability in their organizations. And that has to be an ongoing tracking that takes place, as can't do just a one-time check and assume everything is going to be on it. It's going to be all right in the future. That that vendor can change, their software practices can change, the solutions they use can change, and to the extent that you're receiving patches and new versions of the solution. Obviously, those supply chain professionals and IT professionals need to stay on top of those changes at the vendor side. And then last but not least, another group that comes to mind is industrial control operators. Many of our industrial control operators were born and raised and developed their skills in a time where cybersecurity wasn't as much of a concern as it is today, and we have to make sure they understand the new world, the new realities in which they operate. From an electric and gas and new generation portfolio, we have a number of regulatory agencies in the United States, from Department of Energy and the North American Electric Reliability Council, NERC, and the nuclear industry. So I think we have a good framework, but it doesn't. It is very focused on our industry, and there are a number of other industries that also utilize industrial control systems that could benefit from better understanding on those operators. That can range from, as I said, the direct things they use in terms of software and assets, to all the way, you could have a maintenance device that a vendor brings in to perform operations on or support functions on the equipment and the assets you're operating. Questions around that device connectivity to the device to the internet, embedded software, custody of the supply chain of that device, a number of questions and inquiries that need to be put in place, and that industrial control operators need to be very aware of in the day we live in. So, thank you very much. I hope this has been of help, and